And I also learned that when you're vulnerable, you become your strongest. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you become your strongest. And I had to learn to do that because I'm very stubborn, I'm very tough. But when I pull back that layer, like, and just allow myself to be real with myself and be vulnerable and let all those emotions out, I become better, I become stronger, you know, and so that's why I like sharing my journey, because I know there's other women like myself that may think if you're single, when I was at that moment, when I was a single mom, that maybe I don't look as hot, or maybe I'm not as cool, and the reality is you're strong, you're built for it all.
Oh, you jealous, ugly bitches? You know what? Cause I'm a boss.
In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Ciara in her Red Table Talk interview, and I want to point out that she basically ditched dating thugs and ended up marrying a man. And I know some of you guys are like, oh, thug equals black man. No, it does not. Thug is a mentality. Thug is not necessarily based off of how you dressed. It's not a hoodie, it's not baggy pants, it's a mentality. A thug would rather be in the streets than to be at home with kids, a wife. So that is what a thug is to me. It's not something that you can just point out on the street and be like, oh, yep, that's a thug. Not in all cases. So a thug, once again, it's a mentality. It's a person who would rather be in the streets than to be at home, than to be a father. That is what a thug is to me. So I wanted to talk about this because I feel like all of us, all women, we can all learn at least one thing from her Table Talk interview. I decided to highlight 10 things that we can all learn from this interview. So let's go ahead and get right into this video.
Becoming a single mom was the start of that.
Right.
I would have moments when I'd be in the shower and I'd be crying. Like, I was like, I have few moments I'd be crying, different settings. Crying in the bedroom, crying in the shower.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Right.
it's crazy. And I'd be like crying because I am not in the happiest place and it hurts when I'm going through it.
What was the most painful aspect of that?
The most painful?
Was it the breakup? Was it the idea of being a single parent?
It was a
pressures?
combination of everything.
Right.
Because none of it was ideal.
Yeah, it wasn't what you pictured.
I grew up with my mom and my dad being together. The idea of it being mommy and daddy that made baby.
When it comes to this part of the interview, Ciara spoke about single motherhood and how she was trying to deal with that and then deal with the public and deal with the comments and the naysayers of people basically passing judgment on her for being a single mother. Now, on my platform, I speak out against single motherhood. I don't believe in making that a goal, but I'm not speaking on women who have gone through things. Maybe it was a mistake, maybe it wasn't a mistake, or maybe you didn't realize it was a mistake until after the fact. I'm not speaking on women like that. I'm speaking on the women who make single motherhood a goal. And what we can all learn from Ciara is that sometimes when you make mistakes in life, you end up with a child. You end up being a single mother, but you shouldn't beat yourself up for that. You shouldn't put that much pressure on yourself to where you're crying in the shower. I always tell women, if you end up being a single mother because maybe you made a mistake and maybe this mistake was an experience that you personally had to go through, that is an experience that you had to go through to lead you to your purpose, to lead you to where you're supposed to be in life. So just because I speak out against single motherhood doesn't mean I'm speaking down on single motherhood. I see how hard it is to be a single mom, and I have young women who follow me, and I want the message to be very clear. Being a single mother isn't something that you want. However, if your life turns out that way, maybe you made a mistake, maybe you messed up, whatever the case may be, don't beat yourself up over it. Move on, find happiness, take care of your child, and do what's best for your child. And at the end of the day, life happens. And I feel that if God makes you a single mother, and I don't always like bringing my religious standpoints into my commentary, but I honestly believe if the creator gave you that path to be a single mother, he gives those type of paths to people who can handle it. Not everyone can handle being a single mother. So I don't want to make it seem like being a single mother is a badge of honor, but it is a tough journey to walk. It is a tough path to walk. It's a tough path to follow in life. So don't beat yourself up over it. Look at the positive sides to what happened. You have a child now that you can love on, that can love on you, and that's how you should handle it. That's how you should look at it moving forward.
The one thing I fear in life is really wasting my life, wasting my time. I really fear that, because you realize that time does not stop.
Right.
And it will be the worst scenario to stay in a situation that is just not healthy.
Right.
It's not going to get any better. I've realized I have to start making different decisions.
Right.
Period.
Sometimes you don't actually know what you want, but
Sometimes
like you
you don't.
said,
Yeah.
you know what you don't want.
Yes, you know what you don't want. And that, knowing what you don't want is really
That's
important.
half the battle.
That's half, more than half. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, for real,
Yep.
because
Right.
it creates clarity. You're like, I'm clear.
Yeah.
So then when you know what you don't want and you see that image, you're like, yeah.
In this part of the interview, 3 things really stood out to me. The first thing is the idea. A lot of times, us women, we get so caught up in the idea of a man. We look at his potential, but we're not looking at the man in front of us. We're looking at all the things surrounding him, but we're not looking at the man in front of us. And sometimes us women, we settle for potential, but that's not the man who is in front of us. That is a man that we have this idea formulated in our heads, but it's not the reality of what this man is doing currently. And we need to focus more on this person's actions and not so much on the idea. Another thing in this part of the interview was wasted time. When you waste your time on a potential, you're wasting your good years, and you can't get those good years back. So the more you prolong this, oh, I'm waiting for his potential to actually come to light, I'm waiting for him to live up to his potential, that's wasting time, and it's not serving you. You're not benefiting from that, and you're missing out on experiencing maybe something greater with someone else. But because you're so hung up on the idea, you're so hung up on the potential of a man, that you're wasting time, and time is something you can't get back. Another thing that stuck out to me was knowing what you don't want is sometimes better than knowing what you want, because sometimes you don't always know what you want. So it's best to know what you don't want. So I felt like she got that experience from Future, and it was heartbreak, it was embarrassment, it was all of that. But at least now, moving from that relationship and that experience, she knows exactly what she does not want.
I remember one time I was working out on the elliptical machine, and I was just like not sure about, do I stay or do I, which direction do I go? What is the right thing to do? And it's like, it's easy to do this, but is the easy thing the right thing? Right?
Damn.
So what I did was, Future was like my teddy bear.
Yeah.
So I was like, we gonna go. We about to do this thing together.
Exactly.
Let's go. So his first trip was to Ibiza. And that was kind of like my first time stepping out. I wasn't all the way back to my normal weight.
Right.
I was like, we about to go. Let's go. I just was like, I'm going to commit. I'm going to commit to pulling through. There's no other option, because if I decided, if I chose not to commit, then I was going to fall apart.
Exactly.
And the one thing I will say is I'm really afraid of losing myself.
Got it.
Okay.
And I think if you sit in situations that aren't healthy, or you let them linger too long, you start to lose yourself.
In this part of the interview, I felt like she was saying never be 100% complacent, because if you are comfortable, then you will lose yourself. And also learning when you need to pick yourself up emotionally. And I think her taking that trip with Future, baby Future, I think that is what broke her out of that. I feel like a lot of times we don't know when to pick ourselves up, or sometimes we don't know how. And sometimes just putting yourself out there again is picking yourself up and owning who you are and owning everything about you. So I think we can all learn from that. Never be 100% complacent. Always look towards doing better, wanting more so that you will receive that. But if you never look for better, if you never ask for more, if you never demand for more, you won't get that. And you also have to know when to pick yourself up. You can't stay down for too long.
You know, I had to take a couple of times to figure it out. But my dad's love is what saved me in all of my situations.
Meaning what?
Because it would get to a point where I was like, my dad would do this to my mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this just can't be love.
Got it. So he was your barometer. It's like you.
It's like a blueprint.
Yes,
Like,
and I would think of him in the right moment.
Right.
Which would make me say, okay. It's like doing the same thing over and over is insanity.
Yes.
A form of insanity.
Yes, it is.
So I'm like, okay, I gotta do something a little different here.
Yeah, so how did you
have
get
the
off
same
of that merry-go-round,
I had the same goal.
Right.
I've always had the same goal of wanting to be loved a certain way.
Right.
But I was just walking in the wrong direction. I was looking in the wrong direction. I thought I was gonna be single for a long time. Being in that new position of being a single mom is like, when you're thinking about dating, that's like a bit of a like, what's this gonna be like? Because I look different now. Like, not saying I physically look different, but I look different because when I date, now it's not just me, it's somebody else.
You have somebody else.
So you created a different vision for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was very clear on it, but I also desired something different.
In this part of the interview, I feel like Ciara was owning up to the fact that she was looking for love in the wrong places. She was taking accountability in her actions because she said it was like insanity. She kept doing it over and over and over again. She kept making the same mistakes, but eventually she got to a point where she was like, okay, I have to do something different. Let me switch it up. And I think this is where her whole leveling up comes from and why she made that song, because she realized that she wanted different. She needed different. She even started desiring different things. And when she made that mental change, she changed her mentality, which led her to being loved and treated the way that she always wanted to be.
Loving myself was huge because once I start to love myself, then I'm also loving my son. Right? Then I can also love how I can also be loved how I deserve to be loved, and I can also love the right way too.
Exactly.
And the moment I start to do that, like the taste of something that I thought kind of was like cool or tasted right before, it didn't taste good anymore.
There you go. Yeah.
It was like,
your tastes change.
like I could feel the feeling of what I wanted to have in my husband that was going to come into my life.
In this part of the interview, she talks about loving herself and self-love. And I know it sounds so cliche, you guys, but if more people would focus on loving themselves, everything else will fall into place. You know, you have people out here who's running around trying to figure it out in this area of their life and try to figure it out in a different area of their life. But if they would just sit down and focus on loving themselves, they could cure all of their problems. And she is basically saying that. So when it comes to loving yourself, it's the first thing that you should focus on, because then everything else will fall into place. Your purpose, finding your self-identity, being loved, it falls all into place. But so many people don't want to put in the work to love themselves, and they think that there's some sort of shortcut, but in reality, it's not going to be authentic. Anything that you try to find outside of yourself is not authentic.
What was it about Russell that made you feel like this
was
is
the
the one?
one.
Because
It was
what
like-
you said before is so true. When you have a child, you can't experiment and be bringing everybody and everybody home.
When Russ came into our lives, Future was 10 months old. It was different.
Yeah.
I never had that feeling in my life.
What was the feeling? What was it?
It was just like, it was calm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
It was calm.
That is so
Yeah,
real.
girl, it was calm. Now,
Yeah.
before, the calm might not have been the thing you were looking for. You was like, nah, I need some fire, I need some flame. When that feeling come out, we're gonna turn away and we're gonna look for that other feeling.
But the thing is that feeling doesn't happen though.
Yeah.
It doesn't, because you're clear.
Yeah.
So when Russ and I met, we were being friends first,
Yeah.
right? He actually met my family in the friend setting.
Oh, got it.
Because it was not only me, but it was also my dad.
Yeah.
When he saw us all together for the first time in
Got
person.
it.
When we talked, we were connecting in every way, and we talk about being equally yoked.
Yeah.
And his conversation, it was just different. The way he looked at life, it was different. Also, the energy with my son, it just felt right. And then, of course, the consistency.
Two things that stuck out to me in this part of the interview, when she spoke about being equally yoked and when she spoke about how her and Russell were able to connect on so many different things, that really stuck out to me because a lot of times when it comes to us women, when we date, we try to force connections. We try to force feeling something for someone because we like the idea of being with them, but we don't really have anything in common with them. We don't have any connections with them, or we may have a few, but we don't connect on everything. And so we try to force it, and that's not real happiness. You know, that's not real love to me. Connecting with someone, you connect on every single level to where you guys are equally yoked. That person may pick up the slack where you slack, you know, and it's interchangeable. It's an interchangeable connection. It's an interchangeable feeling. And sometimes it's not the type of feeling that you think it would be. It's a feeling that maybe you've never felt before. And I think that is what she was experiencing when she and Russell got together. Another thing that stuck out to me was how she spoke about consistency. When it comes to men and their actions, if they really want to be with you, they will show it through their actions. It's not something that can be verbally expressed all the time. It's great to get that verbal reassurance, but actions always speak louder than words. And Russell being consistent is what really, that's how she fell in love with him. And I can see that because a lot of times, you know, things is all good in the beginning, and then all of a sudden this person or this man has switched up on you and you're just like, what the hell? You didn't used to do that. Now what's going on? Like, what is it? And you kind of don't look at them the same. You don't love them the same. You don't even look at them the same, but you have formed this relationship with them and now you kind of feel stuck, you know. But consistency, if a man switches up on you, then at that point you need to choose yourself. You need to know your worth. You need to know your value. And in most cases, I would tell women to walk away, because you can either stay and be complacent with him not being consistent, or you can move on and find someone that will. So this completes this video, you guys. What did you learn from Ciara's Red Table Talk interview? Comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so that you're notified when I upload. Hope to see you in my next one.